Open the door now. I heard the voice of my husband screaming as I was trying to hide myself with my mother and my son in my sister's house. That was the night before I was due to go to London.
Have you ever had a calling that is driving you to find a seat where you can stand for something bigger than yourself? There are moments in life you have to answer that call, because you stand where you sit. Now imagine I was just a young girl from a small village in Albania, a bride in a big family, 11 people, and 9 of them were men. My duty was to serve them and be a good wife. I was to cook, clean, and prepare the fresh handmade bread because there was no shop in the village. To walk into town, it took 1 hour and a half. There were no roads for the car, and having your own car was beyond any imagination. I was to milk the cow and prepare the cheese and serve the whole family, because my duty was to make sure that everybody was happy. I had to put all my needs at the bottom of the list. In fact, I was not aware I had the rights to show my needs. As I became a teacher in the village, I started visualizing myself, how my life would be if I would go to the town, and probably I can teach into a bigger school. I also dared to see myself working in a big city, thinking, if people live there, why not me? It took me 2 years to convince my husband to move. And I can't describe the feeling when I made my dream come true. Because now I could go to the shops, to the libraries, and I could have a more active life. But although I thought I was happy, I always had this voice whispering inside my mind. You may think you have arrived, but you haven't reached your destination yet. Have you ever received that reminder that you're destined for more? I personally knew I wanted something more. But my plans changed when I got pregnant. Sadly, my daughter came into this life with lots of complications. I had so many dreams for her. But 7 years later, she passed away. Now imagine you wake up in the morning and your baby is not there. I just felt so guilty, so powerless, and I wanted to give up. That morning, I went into a dark, deep zone. And I started making plans how to end my life. But soon after, I got pregnant again. Now imagine you getting the news that another human is inside you when you're not sure you want to leave. What do I do? I have 2 options. To give up or to live for my baby. It was a tough decision. But once I pressed that green button, I just took charge of my life. And I started slowly taking myself out of that dark zone. I believe at some point of our journey, we all visit that place. I have been there many times, and it has taken me so long to get out of it, especially coming from a very abusive childhood. But what this journey has taught me is that when darkness knocks in your door, there is always a new opportunity to start over. So you can reprogram yourself, reinvent yourself, and master your own destiny. This is how I learned to stand for my rights and for the rights of others. Probably probably you have realized how through the years your big dreams start just changing, shifting, and fading away. Many people lose directions in life. And they give up just before they arrive. Now, if for any reason you are feeling stuck in that darkness, ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1, how do I get out of this? And number 2, how do I get out of this now? I remember my mother asking me, why are you leaving? You have everything here. You have your family, you changed your career, you became a journalist in the largest newspaper of Tirana. What are you looking for? I don't know, Mama. I don't know. I just feel a big hole inside me. And I need to go and search, find a seat where I can stand for it. There is something more out there. That question reminded me when I was in the village and I was reading a book called Once Upon a Cow of Camilo Cruz. This parable is about a family of farmers who learn to adapt and thrive after someone killed their beloved cow. So the cow was the only source of income, food, and conversation. According to Cruz, the cow represents every argument and excuse that prevents us to live our life fully. So in order to move, you have to kill the cow. Now, my question to you is, do you have a cow in your life? Are you ready to release it? Because at some point of your journey, you will have to let go what is going, so you have to let come what is coming. In order for something new to come in, something old has to get out. And this is how I reflected. I thought, I have to release myself. I have to kill my old self so I can give new birth, my new one. So this is how I had the permission to follow another path. So I began starting seeing myself in big stages, big boardroom meetings, traveling the world, taking actions for something bigger than myself. As I always dreamt and I kept dreaming, suddenly my sister shakes me. Mirela, the door, your husband. Oh, I'm back to the reality. Open the door, otherwise the newspaper where are you working tomorrow is going to have your picture in the front cover. That was the first time I felt I really had killed the cow. Hello, my sweetheart. What do you want to do? You want to kill me? You want to kill your wife? I'm sorry. I have already killed her. I went there before you. She's dead. Go home, poor man. Grieve for her. That is all I remember from my old self. All I knew that is I needed something big, and the small village where I was born was not able to give it to me. Next day, early in the morning, I took the flight to London together with my teenager son, 12 years old. When we landed, my son asked me, Mama, do you know where we're going? Well, the truth is I didn't. But I was so scared to tell him I didn't have a plan. Everybody was just so surprised. What is she doing? I didn't know what to tell them. All I knew is I had a big faith inside me. Otherwise, I call it the evidence of things not seen. Otherwise, how could you imagine you going into a new country with very little English, with no money, with no connections, with no idea where to go and what to do and where to start? I was terrified of going back because I had burnt all the bridges. Rejected with so many job applications, I finally managed to find a job as a house cleaner. But 5 days later, I was fired. I'm sitting in a bench, crying, because I don't know how to go home. I have found a seat, but it's not quite what I had visualized. And as they say, when you are so down, there is no other place where to go, just upwards. And here I am today, standing in front of you. 10 years later, I own 5 magazines. I'm an international best-selling author. I've been featured in the top international media. I've been standing in the houses of UK Parliament next to powerhouse women and UK MPs. I have franchised one of the most international popular women's organizations in more than 20 countries. I travel the world and I teach women how to kill their cow and find their seat. All of this from a young girl from a small country in Albania. Now, I don't tell this because I want to impress you, but I want to impress upon you what is possible. Through this, you may now ask, okay, good for you, Mirela, but what about me, right? Through this experience, I have identified 4 steps that can help you to take yourself in a journey and start thinking who I want to become in this world. Explorer, the achiever, the influencer, or the contributor. First of all, you want to make sure you are awake, because this world is divided in 2 parts. People who are sleeping and people who are awake. Let me check who is awake right now. Hello! Great! Because only when you are awake, you are able to see things that others can't. To see things that probably before didn't make any sense to you. But the fact that you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It is available. And that's why you want to make sure that you become a researcher. But how can you help yourself to wake up? Very easy. First of all, you need to realize what is missing inside you, the big hole. Then you go out there, search for it, find it, claim it, and own it. Very simple. Now, I started my awakening journey by reading money books. And you know what? When you are awake, everything that you have been seeking comes and finds you. I remember when I read a book, Eat, Pray, Love, of Elizabeth Gilbert, I felt so liberated. Elizabeth, just like me, had a calling for her meaning, for her seat. She traveled 3 different countries to find it. That inspired me to start searching. You know, things are difficult until they become easy. It became so easy for me because, you know, I started taking actions and I felt enlightened. That book made me think, if she managed to find it, so could I, and so can you. Just remember one important thing. Findings belong to those who search. So that's why please become a searcher. The number 2, the achiever. As you keep searching, you'll realize that you become more wiser, right? And you gain lots of skills and lots of knowledge. But remember this, the knowledge has no value unless you apply it, because the knowledge does not apply itself. By taking actions, you then start feeling that you have achieved something and you feel so proud of yourself. And that's why you feel you have a value. Number 3, the influencer. At this point, your job is to make sure that all the knowledge that you have accumulated is to be shared with others, so you can serve them. This is the momentum you feel worth, because now you are able to inspire and influence other people. The modern definition of today's word called influencer is someone who is able to inspire and guide others to take actions. Amazing. I remember when I read when I found the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad of Robert Kiyosaki, it helped me to take actions immediately because the day after, I just resigned and started my own business. Can you see how easy it is to be influenced? It can be a book, a story, or just a simple quote. All you need to do is just stay awake and see the signs, right? So, who is your influencer? And it doesn't need to be a famous celebrity. You can be a positive influencer for somebody else, right? And lastly, the contributor. Here is the thing. We all do what we do because we are searching for something bigger than ourselves, right? I have interviewed hundreds of women around the world, trying to understand them. What do they want? And I asked them, are you looking for survival, success, or significance? They all tell me that they are looking for that significance and recognition in their life, so they can feel that they are adding value and contributing and feel they have come for a reason in this planet. But how do we get it? The truth is that, you see this? What is this? A seat. Where do I stand? Here. I stand where I sit. If I wanted to stand for a global movement, I needed to find my seat. Because if I'm sitting in the chair of that village, all I could do is just stand for the women in the village. Now, my question to you is, have you found your seat? A seat that empowers you and helps you to empower others. If not, very easy. Identify your cow and move. You are not a tree. You may say, hey, but I'm a nobody. I don't have the power. This is where I was when I started. And the good news is, you know what? It just doesn't matter where you are right now. All it matters is where you want to go. Because at the end, the point of the journey, it's not to arrive and find your seat. But who have you become in that journey? And how you use that seat. So let's stand up and all of us celebrate the sky of possibilities. Thank you very much. Thank you.